couple of years ago I did a quick and fun film about a bunch of dads playing on vintage mountain bikes in the Lake District, and it did some pretty good numbers, and a lot of you have asked to see more of the bikes. So I've decided today I'm going to make a video with a small selection of my collection, specifically 80s and 90s vintage mountain bikes. So let's go on a journey back to the 20th century. So these are my mountain bikes from 88 to 99 period. There's no museum pieces or exotica here. There's no Yetis or Kleins or original Bradbury Manitous. The point of this collection is it is authentic to the kind of stuff I actually would have ridden and owned back at the time. In fact, most of these bikes, or at least most of the parts on them, are actually stuff I had when I was a kid. So extreme sentimental value. I'm going to run through them now in chronological order and tell a little bit of the story about each. Starting with the Peugeot Laser 15 SIS from 1988. According to MB UK magazine at the time, this wasn't even technically a mountain bike. Anything this cheap and heavy would be sneered at in its day, but I absolutely love it. My cousin had it as a plaything since new. After a couple of decades or more, my dad gave him 20 quid for it, and my intention for it was to have it as a sort of rat bike to ride around town on, because obviously it's so unattractive to thieves that it could be chained up outside a shop and it wouldn't get stolen. But of course, me being me, I ended up cleaning it, falling in love with it, and now of course it's as precious to me as all my other bikes, which rather ruins its intended purpose. I do use it round town, but I treat it with absolute care, and if it ever got stolen, I don't even want to think about it. This is the 1991 Raleigh Galibier. It started as a Reynolds 501 frame, which I found, or was given. It had been abandoned, it was completely rusty and covered in muck. I dated it to 1991. I had all these parts lying around, and I thought I would do this as a build to reflect what I would have built in 1991 with the kind of pocket money I had and the kind of parts that I actually did use. So Suntour XC Pro and Dior DX thumb shifters, the Gervin flex stem, the XT cantilever brakes. This is all stuff that I actually had in my parts bin. Dior DX transmission, because I think XT would have been too expensive for me back in the day. Cheated a bit with this beautiful Nubuck turbo, which would probably have been a bit too extravagant for me as a kid back then. Also cheated with these Tioga Psycho tyres, which didn't actually come out till 93. So it's not a concourse winner, but it's a pretty accurate reflection of what we would have lusted after as school kids in that year. This was my first proper serious mountain bike. It took me a lot of saving up to get this. The frame is made of Reynolds 653 steel, so my first real upgrade to the big league. Dave Quinn is still very much active as a legend in bike retail. He's got some big bike shops in Chester. I don't think he still makes frames under his own name, but these are quite rare and quite sought after. The group set's mainly Dior XT, although I think I cheapened it a few years later with these supposedly upgrade but LXV brakes, which I got free from a university mate. Other notable rarities: this Look Rolls saddle was quite expensive in its day and is still very rare and sought after. Stuff I don't like: I think the Scott AT3 handlebar is dated. Nobody likes bar ends anymore. I think, you know, they were a bit of a fad. Also, this nasty cheap stem I think ruins the look. But as you can see, I still do a lot of miles on it. I used to race it back in the 90s, not very well, but you know, it got some miles on it. I put these Schwalbe tyres on it actually, which is a recent upgrade so that I can use it on the road and on the turbo. Also, this Pace fork is quite special because it was the first really exotic piece of suspension technology I could ever afford, right at the end of the 90s, and also the first piece of carbon fibre bike technology that I managed to lay my hands on. I was and still am absolutely in love with this fork. I recently paid a fortune having it serviced, so it still works perfectly. Also, first generation SPD pedals on this bike. I've still got the scars from '93 when I went down and tore up my right arm and left leg because I wasn't used to using these. And other notable little trinkets: the XT shark fin here, which you can't get for love nor money nowadays, and a nice set of original 1993 XT hubs on Mavic rims, which were the absolute industry standard of the time.
Took her out, it was a Friday night. I woke alone to get the feeling right. We started making out and she took off my pants, but then I turned on the TV, and that's about the time she walked away from me. Nobody likes you when you're 23, and I saw more abused by TV shows. What the hell is ADD? My friends say I should act my age. What's my age again?
Now we come to the end of the millennium and the final bike in today's collection. This is my first S-Works, which bike enthusiasts will know is specialised absolute top of the range models. They're still winning Grand Tours and World Championships today. This was the bike, well, this was the frame that in '99 was being ridden by all the top riders in the world, and it was another one that I got from Dave Quinn, actually, the same guy that built my previous bike. He, by this time I was working for him in one of his shops, and so I was able to get a mega discount on what was at the time an extremely desirable frame, made out of specialised M4 metal matrix composite, which is aluminium based, but I think it's got ceramics and things in it, specific alloy, I don't know what's in it, but I have, as you can see, rather cannibalised it and made it into a bit of a Frankenstein bike. A lot of the parts that were on this were migrated to later S-Works frames, which obviously were from 2000 and beyond, so we're not going to look at them today. What's left behind, I converted into a single speed, which was great when I was fit for things like winter training. Now, as you can see from this little peg here, well, you probably can't see it, I use it to tow a trailer, which my 3-year-old rides in. How else have I ruined it? Well, I've kept the beautiful Ritchie stem and seat post that came with it, but I put cheap handlebars on it. I put a Kona Project 2 fork on it, which is a great bit of kit, but it is a steel fork on an aluminium frame, which many would consider weird. It's got a very heavy single-speed rear wheel, but it's still got the original S-Works front wheel with the lovely through-axle stout hub, they called it, so that's quite a bit of exotica. And other things of note, well, it has the late 90s DX downhill SPDs, which are good for wearing with trainers or SPD shoes. And finally, the Magura HS33 brakes, which are a pig to set up, but if you've ever worked in a bike shop and learned how to do it, they are incredible. They're so powerful, they feel brilliant, and these things must be, well, certainly they're decades old and they still work absolutely flawlessly. So if and when I'm ever fit enough again to ride a single speed fully rigid off-road, this is an amazing bike, but for now I'm afraid it just gets used to tow a trailer. So this is the part where I beg you to like, comment and subscribe. If you're into bikes, please leave comments below regarding what you might like to see next. I got loads of really nice feedback on my Lake District video with all the vintage bikes. Could definitely do something on road bikes and track bikes from the same era. I've got a rather nice Brian Rourke here. I'm also doing some restoration jobs. I've got an old Raleigh here with a nice Reynolds frame that I've been working on. So yeah, give me a shout and hopefully see you on the next one. While we're locked down, I'm really short on ideas because I can't exactly do outdoors and adventure related videos. So would be very grateful for any inspiration. Cheers for now.